Hey guys, Dr. Justin Marcagiani here. Today we're going to be talking about probiotics. Are probiotics enough to fix your digestive issues? I get these questions all the time. Hey, I have some bloating, I have some gas issues, some constipation, some diarrhea. Are probiotics enough to fix that? Should I be adding probiotics into my protocol? That's really a great question. So, probiotics are like beneficial bacteria. They kind of come in like the lactobacillus family, Lactobacillus plantarum, casei. There's going to be lactis. There's going to be bifidobacterium. There's going to be lactobacillus acidophilus. There's about, there's many different species in those two kind of families. That's what you're going to see in most like probiotics. A common one's like a VSL3. It's going to have a broad spectrum of the bifido and the lactobacillus. You have other types of probiotics, whether they're spore-based probiotics. Those are common, or like you'll see like Rotary. These are like, you kind of see them in a lot of lactobacillus ones that have to deal with like urinary tract stuff. You'll see them there. Also, there's like one called Pilopass. That's like an L. reuteri species that's specific to H. pylori. So typically the Bifidobacter, Lactobacillus, you'll see some that are spore-based, which are going to be bacillus-based, Clausii, subtilis, coagulans, Lichen and you'll see some Saccharomyces, which are kind of more like a beneficial yeast, but also have important benefits with improving gut function, IgA, gut permeability. They can crowd out some bugs like H. pylori and blasto. Those are going to be the 2 or 3 major families of probiotics. Now, most people, they have typically larger amounts of bad bacteria in their gut than good bacteria. And there's a couple of reasons why. So excessive antibiotic use over time can accumulate, and that can really wipe out a lot of the good stuff. And you tend to get this rebound overgrowth after taking antibiotics. You actually see it with yeast. A lot of doctors now, especially with women, they're actually giving a lot of females antibiotics and then coming in right afterwards with diflucan because they're seeing these big rebound fungal overgrowths. We see it with bacteria as well. And you'll get these rebounds of like Proteus, or Citrobacter, or Klebsiella, Pseudomonas. These are kind of bad bacteria. You kind of see them in like the SIBO realm. Like SIBO is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, where you have a lot of the bugs migrating up from the colon. You get this big rebound. You'll see it from antibiotics. You'll see it from excessive, my opinion, excessive conventional types of foods that have like pesticide residue, Roundup, glyphosate. This can really wipe out the gut microbiome and kind of bring it back, more bad stuff. Also, processed flour, processed foods. These are the bad bacteria like these acellular carbohydrates. It means they're like processed. They're really easy to digest and eat, and that can flourish a lot of bad bacteria. And then, of course, if we just have really crummy digestion, we don't have good hydrochloric acid levels, good enzyme levels, we're not making enough bile salts, that can be a problem. Right? That can make it harder for a breakdown of food. And then you can have a lot of this negative fermentation, a lot of the bad gases, right? The SIBO bacteria's hallmark is producing a lot of excess hydrogen, excess methane gases that can throw off motility, cause this imbalance in either excess diarrhea or excess constipation. Also, we can see problems with just not getting enough fermented food. A lot of people just have not, in their culture, of not getting enough fermented food, whether it's from like low sugar kombucha or fermented pickles or sauerkraut or kimchi. We just typically don't do enough of it. And so getting fermented food in can be a great way to supplement probiotics outside of just taking pills. Now, should you take probiotics? I've seen a lot of people that already have a lot of digestive issues take probiotics and they feel worse. Right? They get brain fog, they get bloaty, they get gassy. It can throw off their motility. Now, probiotics, if you look at the literature, there's a lot of good studies showing that they can help with inflammation. They can help with immune. There's even some benefits of even helping with mold detoxification. So there's all kinds of things that they could be helpful for. Now, why wouldn't they? Because there are people that still report these symptoms. So the question is why? Why would someone have a negative reaction? If you're generally healthy, I think you're going to do good with probiotics. I think it's good, especially if you're not willing to add fermented foods in your diet. Adding some probiotics in supplementally is a good thing. If you have a lot of digestive issues and probiotics cause symptoms, they cause the bloating, they cause the gas, they cause a lot of those symptoms I highlighted, then you may want to not deal with that. You may want to not add those things in. You may want to think about clearing out the gut. If you're having a reaction to probiotics, something is wrong in the gut. So if you already have a lot of digestive issues in general, and the probiotics are just kind of exposing a weakness and showing, hey, there's something there, then you definitely want to work on your diet, go through the 6 R's, remove the bad foods, get the digestion, get your motility better, support your adrenals, fix whatever bugs are there, get them knocked out, get them tested so you know what you're actually dealing with. This is a common thing that I see with my patients. You have these infections that can throw things off. So probiotics have a lot of good benefits, a lot of good inflammation benefits, a lot of good immune benefits. Again, the big issue is if you already have a lot of weeds in your metabolic intestinal garden, throwing a whole bunch of seeds in there and or fertilizer, right? That's going to actually make things worse. So that's something that you want to think about. So in general, are probiotics enough to fix your digestive issues? Probably not. If you have just good health already, adding some in could be very helpful, but not enough to maybe fix anything long term. But if you're pretty good health wise, maybe enough to kind of give you a little bump and still promote some of the health benefits that we know about in regards to immune, motility, inflammation reduction, detoxification. Plus, probiotics help ferment a lot of good, healthy nutrients in your gut, whether it's vitamin K or B vitamins as well. Again, let me just kind of jump over to a couple of questions here, see if you guys have any here. So how many CFU units should I get? So in my line, I use one called ProBioFlora. I do about 20 to 40 billion CFUs per serving. Again, good companies are going to use CFUs based on expiration. So when I put out my product, we're going to say, hey, it's going to be this many at expiration. So when you manufacture it, it's going to actually have way more. And so you want companies that are reputable. Good probiotics are going to cost more money. And so you want to make sure that you're investing in good probiotics so you're getting way more. You may get a probiotic that's been around on the shelf for a year and it said 20 billion, but then really that was at manufacture date. And then when you look at it now, it may have a fraction of that in there. So really important to look at that. Consumer Reports did a review on that years ago, talking about that. Should I get a supplement that has probiotics and probiotics? I think postbiotics. I think you mean prebiotics. So prebiotics can be helpful, right? They're going to be like the prebiotic fibers that are going to help feed a lot of the beneficial bacteria. So you can see things like inulin or chicory root. There's even things like resistant starch that can be helpful, whether it's cooled potato starch or unripened green plantain flour. These can be helpful because they can feed a lot of the beneficial bacteria. Again, if you get bloaty or gassy with these things, you got to just start low, work your way up. There could be some dysbiotic bacteria that the prebiotic fibers are feeding, especially most of them are going to be high in FODMAPs. And FODMAPs definitely feed SIBO if you have digestive issues and you know you have dysbiosis or SIBO for sure. Question here, Jay, does a high MMP9 from mold illness mean you have lots of digestive issues? Not sure what MMP9 stands for. Have to look at that real fast. Yeah, that's like one of those kind of markers for SIRS. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of markers that are out there. That's the matrix metalloproteinase. Yeah, there's a lot of markers that are out there. I mean, I will typically, you can look at inflammatory markers, whether it's melanocyte stimulating hormone, MSH. I'll actually go and just test the person's environment. I'll test their urine with a challenge to see if we're getting mold out via the urine. Those are two great ways to kind of directly look at is the environment moldy? Is the person spitting out mold in their urine? And not to mention, are we able to challenge it out? Because some people, they'll look at mold, but then they won't challenge it, right? And so if you have poor detoxification and you're testing someone's urine, you may not be able to get the mold out. And so you got to do a good challenge on it so you can see. That's how I look at it. But in general, like good, healthy detoxification should include pushing out mold. So if you have poor detoxification on mold, it's either you got exposed to way too much, you're sick, you're unhealthy, you have other things going on, and this is another big stressor. And so the question is, maybe doing a lot of detoxification from mold isn't the best step for you right now. Maybe there's too much stress and you have to focus on other things. I tell patients mold is probably one of the last things I'll go to detoxify because it's coming out the liver, gallbladder, into the stomach, into the intestine, into the small intestine, out the stool. And so I like to really make sure we have good digestion going before we start pushing a lot of detoxification. I'll focus more on the mold in the environment and maybe some gentle binders and really work on the adrenals and the gut function before I go after mold specifically, just because it can be really hard on the body. So I like to get all those systems all set up and ready to go before. How can I bring up my acromantia? I currently have SIBO and leaky gut. So there's a product, I think, by Pendulum called acromantia. So you can bring it up that way. Supplementing acromantia can be a great way to bring that up. That's an excellent newer product that's been on the market this last year, and that's a good one to use. All right, guys, excellent chat here. Again, if you want to reach out, again, I see patients worldwide dealing with a lot of mold stuff, dealing with chronic gut and digestive health issues. If you want to reach out, there'll be a link down below where you can reach out and schedule. Again, feel free and subscribe and share this content with friends or family so you can get the word out. All right, y'all, have an awesome day. Take care. Bye now.